March 18 readings. Justin Martyr Dialogue with Trypho, Chapter 4. Can the soul see God? Is there, then, Trypho asked, such great power in our mind? Or can a man perceive by sense sooner? Will the mind of man see God at any time if it is uninstructed by the Holy Spirit? I replied, Plato indeed says that the mind's eye is of such a nature and has been given for this end, that we may see that very being when the mind itself is pure, the one who is the cause of all that is discerned by the mind. He has no color, no form, no greatness, nothing, indeed, that the bodily eye perceives. Plato describes him as beyond all essence, unutterable and inexplicable, but alone honorable and good, coming suddenly into soul's well-disposition due to their affinity and desire for him. The nature of the soul. Trypho responded, what affinity, then, is there between us and God? Is the soul also divine and immortal, and a part of that very supreme mind? And just as that mind sees God, so also is it possible for us to conceive of the deity in our mind, and thereby attain happiness? Assuredly, I said. And do all the souls of all living beings comprehend him? Trypho asked. Or are the souls of men different from those of horses and asses? No, the souls that dwell in all creatures are similar, I answered. Then, he said, shall both horses and asses see God, or have they seen him at some time? No, I said, for the majority of men will not see him, except for those who live justly, purified by righteousness and every other virtue. Righteousness, not affinity, determines vision of God. It is not, therefore, Trypho concluded, on account of his affinity that a man sees God, nor because he has a mind, but because he is temperate and righteous? Yes, I agreed, and because he possesses that which enables him to perceive God. What then? Do goats or sheep injure anyone? He asked. No one in any respect, I said. Then, according to your reasoning, these animals will see God as well, he remarked. No, I replied, for their physical nature prevents them. Trypho countered, if these animals could speak, they might well ridicule our bodily limitations. But let us leave this subject for now. Tell me this, does the soul see God while still in the body, or only after it has been freed from it? The soul's vision of God. As long as the soul remains in human form, it is possible for it to attain this vision through the mind, I explained. But when it has been set free from the body and exists apart, it fully grasps that which it was continually and wholly longing for. Does it remember this vision when it returns to the body? He asked. I do not think so, I admitted. Then what advantage is there for those who have seen God? What benefit does one gain over another if he cannot recall that he has seen? I cannot say, I confessed. And what happens to those who are judged unworthy of this sight? Trypho inquired. They are imprisoned in the bodies of certain wild beasts, and this is their punishment. Do they know that they are being punished in such forms because of their sins? I do not think so. Then, Trypho said, they gain no benefit from their punishment. Indeed, they are not truly punished unless they are aware of it. No, indeed, I agreed. Therefore, he concluded, souls neither see God nor transmigrate into other bodies. For if they did, they would know they were punished and would fear committing even the smallest sin afterward. However, that they can perceive that God exists, and that righteousness and piety are honorable, I do agree with you on that. You are right, I replied. Augustine. Confessions, Book Vi, Chapter 3. Ambrose's busy life and silent reading. Nor did I now groan in my prayers for your help, instead, my mind was wholly intent on knowledge, eager to dispute and debate. I esteemed Ambrose a happy man, not as one blessed by you, but as the world counts happiness, because such great personages held him in honor. Only his celibacy seemed to me a painful thing. But what hope he cherished, what struggles he endured against temptation, what solace he found in adversity, and what delight your bread gave to his heart as he meditated upon it, I could neither guess nor had I experienced. Nor did he know my struggles or the pit of my danger. For I could not approach him as I wished, nor speak with him freely. He was constantly surrounded by people seeking his counsel, attending to their infirmities. When he was not occupied with them, which was rare, he was either taking necessary nourishment for his body or refreshing his mind with reading. The silent reader. I noticed something peculiar about Ambrose's reading habits. When he read, his eyes moved over the pages, and his heart sought out the meaning, but his voice and tongue remained silent. Often, when we visited him, for no one was forbidden to enter, and it was not his custom to have his visitors announced, we would see him reading to himself, never otherwise. Having sat in silence for a long time, who would dare to interrupt one so intent? We would eventually leave, concluding that in those brief moments of respite from the demands of others, he wished not to be disturbed. Perhaps he feared that if he read aloud, some listener would ask him to explain an obscure passage or engage him in deep discussion, consuming the little time he had for his studies. Or perhaps he simply needed to preserve his voice, which was easily strained. Whatever his reason, I am certain that in such a man, it was a good one. Discovering the true Catholic faith. Yet I found no opportunity to inquire about the burning questions in my heart. I needed him at full leisure to pour out my doubts before him, but he was never so available. Still, I heard him every Lord's Day, rightly dividing the word of truth among the people. And through his preaching, I became increasingly convinced that the intricate arguments used by the Manichaeans to attack the divine scriptures could indeed be unraveled. More than that, I came to realize that the Catholic Church did not hold the crude and literal ideas about God that I had once mocked. I had thought that when they spoke of man being made in the image of God, they meant that God had a physical form like ours. But as I listened to Ambrose, I saw that your spiritual sons, the true children of the Catholic Church, did not believe in such carnal fables. Although I still had no clear understanding of what a spiritual substance was, I rejoiced in realizing my former folly. For years, I had barked, not against the true Catholic faith, but against the childish misconceptions I had imagined it to be. How foolish I had been! Instead of humbly seeking the truth, I had rashly condemned what I had never understood. You, O most high and most near, most secret and yet most present, are not bound by size or shape. You have no limbs, some greater and some smaller, and yet you have created man in your image. And behold, man, from head to foot, is confined by space, while you, O Lord, are wholly everywhere and yet nowhere in space. Thomas Aquinas. Summa Theologica, Part 1, Question 40, Article 1. Whether relation is the same as person? Objection. It seems that relation is the same as person in God. For in God, there is nothing except what is absolute or what pertains to relation. But a divine person is not something absolute, as it subsists in relation. Therefore, relation must be the same as person in God. Responsio. It must be said that in God, relation is not distinct from person but is identical with it. In created things, a relation is an accident that exists in a subject, but in God, relations are subsisting realities that constitute the persons themselves. This is evident in the divine Trinity, where the Father is the Father only by paternity, the Son is the Son only by filiation, and the Holy Spirit is the Holy Spirit only by procession. Since nothing in God is accidental, these relations are not additional qualities but rather the very persons themselves. However, while relation and person are identical in reality, they are conceptually distinct. Relation expresses the distinction between the persons, for example, the Father is distinct from the Son by paternity. Person expresses the subsisting reality of each divine hypostasis. Thus, in God, relation and person are the same in reality but different in meaning, ensuring that the divine unity is maintained while properly distinguishing the persons.